welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's video is one that I'm really excited to be able to share with you because I'm finally able to show you something that I've been working on recently. So I think when it comes to owning leopard geckos, there are two very different ends of the spectrum when it comes to how people house them. You've got one end of the spectrum where people have them in a very sterile environment with paper towel and not very much enrichment, and then all the way on the other end of the spectrum you've got people who choose to house them in fully bioactive enclosures with loose substrate and things like that. So there are two very different extremes when it comes to owning leopard geckos. So with me being a first-time leopard gecko owner and also a first-time reptile owner in general, I wanted to fall somewhere in the middle of these two. So when it comes to leopard gecko care, a lot of it is highly debated, and I wanted to play it safe and not use any loose substrates because of the risks associated with them, but I did also want to make sure my leopard gecko had plenty of enrichment and that she had an environment that she could interact with as much as possible. So with all that being said, I did decide to use excavator clay with her, as you're going to see further on in this video, but I decided this would be a good thing to try with her to make her some sort of interactive background. So if you remember back to when I adopted her, I did get her from a guy that just didn't have the time for her anymore, and I do have a video on that going more into depth on her whole story in general, which I'll leave in the iCards and also down in the description if you're interested in watching that. So the enclosure she came with was a tub or a bin type cage, and this did have wood shavings in the bottom. I'm not entirely sure what kind of wood shavings he was using, but I took them out straight away. And she also had two hides in there. She had a wooden hide and also her humid hide, and in general she just didn't have that much enrichment or anything to really climb on in her enclosure, so in my mind the enclosure she came with was quite minimal. So I did gradually make the change for her to live in an Excavator, which is the one you can see behind me. She is living in this until she can live in her final finished enclosure because it does need to dry, but this just has a safer substrate in it, more hides, more enrichment, things like that. But I always knew in my mind that I wanted her to have some sort of interactive background. I was never too sure how I was going to achieve that, but I always knew that was going to be my end goal when I got her. So when I started researching how I was going to achieve this, I originally wanted to use expanding foam and silicone. I think this was just a bit too much for me. I don't really have the space to kind of let it dry out. That isn't going to affect my other animals, so that's when I discovered excavator clay, and that's when I started looking into that as a substrate to use as my background. And yes, I know it does start off as a loose substrate, but it does dry hard, so from the research that I've done, it is safe to use with leopard geckos when it comes to things like impaction. But I am still going to be using tile on the bottom of her enclosure, so she's not going to be eating directly off the clay just in case, and this also makes it a bit easier for me to clean as well. So I just wanted to give this a try. The good thing about excavator clay is if I decide later down the line that I hate it, I can just add water and take it off or reuse it. So that is one good thing about excavator clay, but let me know if you'd be interested in me making a video a couple months down the line of my thoughts and kind of reviewing excavator clay, having used it for a few months. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely try and do that for you. So I'm going to stop talking now and show you the process of me making this and the finished result and what Orbit thinks of it. I just wanted to give you a quick run through of her enclosure, although you've probably seen most of it already. So the left hand side of her enclosure is her warm side, and her heat mat is in this area, and then you can't quite see it, but there is a thermostat at the back, and the probe to that is taped down behind this hide here. So behind all of that is a fake cactus planter, and she's just hiding in there right now, peeking her head out, and another fake plant which she actually came with, and then the piece of wood which attaches to the background and leads up to one of the highest ridges in the background itself. So at the back we have a very sad succulent. I've had this for a few years now, and I'm not very good at keeping live plants alive, so I put this in here because it was the only one I had that fit into the plant pot that I incorporated into the background, and I'm still on the hunt for a nicer looking succulent that isn't kind of half dead. Maybe this one will revive itself, I'm not entirely sure, but for now I've put that one in there just so you kind of get the point that that's what I'm aiming for. And then of course we have the whole excavator clay background leading around over to the right hand side of the enclosure. So this sticker was sent to me by a company called Furnishables, and I love their stickers. They're reusable static cling stickers, which means you can use them again and again, and I also use them on my mouse enclosure. So if you're looking for a way to make your pet's enclosure look a bit more interesting, or you just want to display their name on the front of the tank, then I definitely recommend checking out Furnishables. I'll leave the link to their website in the description. So behind her name sticker we do have her water bowl, and I like this one. It's really different. It's kind of in the shape of like a wooden log, and this was also kindly sent to me. This was sent to me by a shop on AliExpress. So if you're looking for a water bowl similar to this or some other items for your pets, that will also be linked in the description below. So next on the cool side we have another hide for her, and I do really like this one because it does give her more opportunities to climb, but it was very expensive. So the last thing I have to show you in her enclosure is her humid hide, and I did intend to use a Tupperware for this and cut a hole in it, but it just wasn't looking right. It did look a bit out of place in the enclosure, so we were trying a mason jar. She's never had a mason jar before. If she doesn't like it, then I will switch her back to using a Tupperware. We're just gonna have to see how she gets along with this. So inside this we just have some damp paper towels, and then I've made an attempt at kind of hiding it with a fake plant and trying to make it tie in with the rest of the enclosure. So yeah, that was it for my mini tour of Orbit's finished enclosure. So what do you guys think? I think it turned out okay. I probably could have done with another half a bag of clay because it didn't quite turn out how I planned. I think the ridges or the like ledges of it could have been a bit more deeper, so she had more space to kind of climb on them, but I did start running out of clay, and I did also intend to have some sort of like cave area to hide her humid hide in, and I didn't have enough clay for that. But the good thing is if I do decide that's something I want to do later down the line, then I can just buy another bag of clay. But considering how nervous I was to do this, I was putting this off for weeks because I was really scared to do it. I think it turned out okay. I think the thing I like the most about it, besides not having to stare at an empty Excavator back anymore, is that if I do decide I don't like it or I want to change the design slightly, I can just add water and make those changes, which I think is really good. So I hope you guys like it. At the end of the day, I just wanted to give Orbit an enclosure she could interact with and utilise all of the space more, and I think I've achieved that. So some of you guys do ask to see more videos on Orbit, and she's being antisocial right now. She's in her humid hide, so I'm not going to disturb her, but hopefully this has satisfied your need to see more of her. If there is any other videos you'd like to see with Orbit in, please do let me know in the comments and I'll try to do those for you. But yeah, that was Orbit's new enclosure, and hopefully her final enclosure for a very, very long time, and hopefully she doesn't have to move around anymore. But I hope you guys like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to see any future animal related videos from us, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!